Well, The Emissary is a sort of historical novel, if you can call it that, set in ancient Greece in the time of Alexander the Great, and it sort of encompasses the whole Greek history of that period, and the wars with Persia, which Alexander had, and before that, and this is the first part. The writing of the book, it took me 1 year to write it, and it sparked off from a conversation with V.S. Naipaul, who was then the director at the board of Tehelka, and where I was also the director, and so he asked me whether I read a lot of history, and so from that conversation I got the inspiration to read a lot of history, and the first sort of mass of ancient writing that I read were the ancient Greek authors, Herodotus, Thucydides, Arrian, etc., etc. And Alexander's period looked to me the most sort of promising, and in that point novels started sort of worrying in my mind, and the result is, it's possibly a trend where Indians are not, you can say that we are not insular anymore, we are not obsessed with the Raj, we are obsessed of topics other than India. So writers, you can't really, it's very sort of uncomfortable as well as unfair to ask writers and give them subjects. So writers, the subjects that seize them, so writers write about that the best. So it was ancient Greece that seized me, so I write about it. So you could just say it's sort of, we have reached a stage of literary sort of history where you could say we have just started the process of exploring sort of things which you wouldn't traditionally call India. Though perhaps the sequel, Alexander, would come to India and there would be Indian context, but if you look at Emissary as a standalone book, there is no Indian context to it right now except for the author himself. So in that sense, it's something that more and more authors should represent. I was always very sad and very curious for a while of Indian sort of obsession, Indian writer obsession with this whole colonial history. And Banka 13 was also a way out of that. So he was writing about contemporary India. And so this is also something totally different.